Hi, YouTube. It's Angela. We're here to do an intuitive reading for just a general energy reading focused on the topic of denial. Those things that we suppress, those uncomfortable feelings like fear or worry or pain, and we end up wanting to push them away and find a space for them that's not out in the open and not in a place where we can face it and process it. We want to, tuck it down. So it's for those suppressed feelings of denial. I pulled this card, Denial. I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. And using the Zen Tarot cards, we're going to find a path to create this awareness of those things that are tucked away, that are deep inside. If we are a lot of times, our instinct is to, when something's painful or something's difficult, we want to ignore it or, divert it or press it away. But what we end up doing by not giving it air and giving it space to breathe and acknowledging its existence, what we end up doing is we bury it. And, it doesn't go away, right? Once we bury it, it's like if you bury a bunch of seeds. I don't like these seeds. I think I'm going to bury them. Well, what happens? They don't go away. They grow. They take root. Sometimes even if they don't break the surface, they grow deeper within. And then the roots go, farther and farther. So that's what happens with our suppressed feelings and the things that we are in denial over. So it's interesting how we really think, oh, I got rid of that. And then years later, something happens and it comes up again. So let's do a little bit of clarifying with the Zen spread here. I'm going to do my old pre spread, which takes us on a journey, inner and outer journey along the way. The first card that I pulled is fighting. This is a mental energy. This is our resistance that goes on within us. I have this point of pain. My energy, if I were just moving and dealing with it energetically, would say, oh, your pain. Hello. Okay, I will let you be there until you're not there anymore and dissipate away. But our mind brings out the resistance. And that's what this card is. It's a mental energy. And the fighting is all that resistance that we want to hold in place. I don't want this pain to affect me now. I'm going to push it away. I'm going to resist it, right? Super total human response to things that are difficult. But as we've said before, imagine the seeds that get planted in the ground and then where do they have to go, right? They're not going to just dissolve. So we have to make sure that in our practices, we're keeping things fresh and out in the open and rotating these things onto the next experience. Internally, that comes against this resistance card within you, the sense and the feeling that's underneath this fighting energy is clinging to the past. So I want things to stay the same. I don't want this pain to come up. I don't want to have to deal with it. I want to feel safe again like I was. I don't want this relationship to be difficult and end. I want it back to the beginning, how it was, how it felt so good. Whatever, my work situation, my family situation. The thing is when we fight, mentally and cling, in our emotions, the roots begin to grow, right? Those little seedlings, they're not going anywhere, right? So what we want to find is a way to air them out. And in the external position here, so internally it was clinging to the past as it relates to this fighting mental energy. Externally, I got past lives. So this is an indication that by airing out these past energies, even if it sometimes this talks about like past patterns in your life, being in the external position, it's kind of calling for you to allow everything that is to be out in the open, right? To sort of excavate those seeds that are taking root within us of our emotional challenges and our pain and grief, and airing them out and bringing them out into the open and letting sort of the light shine on it, so that we can see how sometimes in some instances we've patterned our way into this feeling of denial, because too painful, push it down, too painful, push it down, right? Now you have all these seeds that are pushed down, but what this guidance is calling for is to go ahead and let them out one at a time. You don't have to like uproot everything at once and clear out all your fears and pain, because that's another whole story, but that could be completely exhausting for your energy. But little by little, as things arise, don't deny it, right? Let it be there, let it come up, and let it play itself out, so that it can move away from your experience, and you can cleanse that and have a clearer path ahead. Okay, so the key to moving forward in this instance here, I got integration. Yeah. So the key to moving forward and beyond these lower vibrational energies of, resistance and clinging, and, knowing that we pattern ourselves sometimes through some of this stuff, right? If I have a pattern of not wanting to feel pain or trying to protect my being from pain, then, I'm not acknowledging that pain. I'm not letting it sort of be part of my experience to allow for my growth. It's keeping me stuck, right? So these lower vibrational cards that came through, the key to moving past it is integration. It's allowing it all to be there. It's letting, your past and your present and your future all be converged within your energy. It's allowing for, your inner being and the way things are in your outer world to kind of both coexist together. Your inner being is your guide to move you through the outer world. And when they're disconnected, when they're not integrated, this is where we have, okay, let me compartmentalize that. Let me push that away. Let me only focus on this, or, this next thing I want to do, and it's not working out. So now let me push that away, right? It's more of, we want to create more of a connective flow between all of these occurrences, inner being and external world. And now we're getting to a little more of an elevated view on it. And part of that practice begins with turning in. We're talking about elevated view on those points of denial, right? Those things that we don't want to face. Turning in and listening to your inner being, going deep into your emotions and the way these things are making you feel is the key. And that is, for sure, some of us would revert back down to that lower level and resist that, because it's the pain, tapping into and greeting the pain within us. It's sometimes it's frightening. It creates more fear that we're ready to deny, right? So, but gently turning in and allowing, this is a card of emotion, and it goes, see how all the water is below her. It goes real deep, but all her demons and all her fears and all the things that haunt her are still hovering around her, yet she remains at peace. She knows that these things really can't harm her now, as long as she's attuned to the way it makes her feel, attuned to, oh, I could learn from the way I handled it last time. I can tap into maybe some of these patterns that I'm running and find a way to break those patterns of hiding things away. Usually the best way to break those patterns is to feel it fully, whatever that pain is. And as old pain arises, really you're in this position because it can't harm you. It's already happened. It's already done. But you can process it in a new way that allows you to give it some oxygen and let it move along, on its own way, away from your experience. Now, internally, related to this turning in card, this sort of meditative vibration within you, I got ripeness. This is you knowing when the time is right to let some of this stuff up, to let, like the fruit that falls from the tree on its own. It's not forced. It just knows when it's ready. As well within you when you're ready to let some of these old fears, old sources of pain and grief and guilt and shame, letting some of that come up and like I said, give it some air and let it fall away. And remember what I said before too, we don't do this all at once, right? We don't scoop it all up again. It's little by little, just sort of letting it come up. Maybe as those seeds begin to break surface and sprout, you can use that imagery and know, okay, it's time for me to pull that weed and do away with it. In your external world, this combination of turning in and being attuned to the right timing for some of these things to be processed, in your external world, we're reminded not to, a sort of an energy of non-attachment, no thingness. This is allowing for you to be accepting, let things be as they are, and not rushing to any one outcome too soon, because that could create more frustration if things don't turn out the way we envision it, right? We want to stay as open and neutral as possible moving forward after releasing some of these sources of pain. And now we're going to rise to an even higher elevated view, right? So we've gone from this sort of lower vibrational, fight, clinging, maybe even a little distrust in how the universe is going to help us proceed, because we haven't seen evidence of it in the past, perhaps, but remember, that's because of the way we initially tucked away some of this energy. So we've moved from that vibration to a more neutral, turning in, knowing and trusting when the time is right, and then knowing that if I attach myself to any certain outcome, I could be setting myself up for disappointment. So I will remain open to what comes along, to that next point in my journey. So there's a neutrality there. And then we get to the top level, the highest consciousness here in this reading. And what I got was beyond illusion. So now you start to realize this work is transformative, and I would not have known it when I was down here in my fighting energy. I would not have known that by releasing some denial and letting things rise to the surface, I would be unharmed. I will have an opportunity to fully feel the pain and feel it out, but it won't stay in my experience. And now, once you've gone through this a few times, right, you start to realize this is creating true transformation. I really am elevating every time. I'm evolving into someone who can now take some of these instances of pain or grief or fear and process them in the moment so that they don't stay with me. I don't push them down in a act of denial. I process them in the moment. And that alone is transformative. That is transforming your relation to your fear and your ability to move past it and accept that fear and pain is part of the human experience. It's a matter of, right, how we navigate it, the choices we make in order to move forward. And the Beyond Illusion card it's encouraging us, first of all, to use our intuition. This is a highly intuitive vibration here in this illustration. Stay calm, stay centered, and then the face of this figure, the butterfly that comes out in a transparent way, is showing that it's there, ready to evolve with us, right? That energy is always with us. Within us, as it relates to this illusion, this transformative experience, remember, we're on this higher level of consciousness. Within us, we get the sense, I got new vision. So we get the sense that even just by putting this into practice, by letting these experiences rise up from where they are in our underground energetic space, letting them rise up can clear a path. It can, it transforms our being, but it also shows up in our external world as, okay, now I have a clear path. So within us, we get the sense that if I just, remain as clear as I can of these energies, it doesn't mean you're going to be like perfect and never being affected by things. But if I can remain as clear as I can by, welcoming in the pain so that it can help me transform my inner being, then I know I can create new, I can aim my arrow toward, even higher states of consciousness and more, manifestation of the things that feel good to me, the things that I want to do. The fear and the pain sometimes are just sort of like, they feel like obstacles, but sometimes they're there to allow us to pause a minute and reflect and process and get rid of it so that we can go along, unobstructed down our path. And then our final card, and in the external position and out in the world and the outcome to this process and to this work, is the rebel. This is you, kind of your badass self, just showing up and going, you know what, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it my way from now on. And I'm going to do it without apology. And I'm also going to do it without harming others. I'm going to do for me. And when you're moving forward in a way that's for your growth, and you're really staying aware and connected to that purpose, there's less disappointment or resistance from others in your life. Sometimes though, like when we do this work and we elevate and we find ourselves in a new expansive energetic space, there are times when we have lower vibrational connections who don't get it, they don't see it, and it's fearful for them, and but the point here, is that you remain on your path that's true to you. And then be aware of the denial that takes place. The next time something trips you up, how do you approach that? Do you welcome it in? I like to kind of think of it as, a dinner guest that you welcome into your home, the fear and the pain. Okay, here you are. Let me fill you out. You could stay a little while. And then when we're done and when the meal's over and when we finish the evening, you can go away. And it's less about, not wanting to feel it and denying it and pushing it away, and more about acknowledging its presence and, letting it dissipate on its own, and letting the universe bring you into a place where you're in, you're aligned and in your full acceptance, where, yeah, these painful things happen, and I know I can move beyond it. I don't have to plant them into the ground, right, in order to hide them away so that I could pretend like they don't exist, right? So welcome them in, feel them out, process it, and then let it leave. This is the practice that we're aspiring to here. It's not going to be automatic, and give yourself the little wins that you have, right? Each little time that you get to approach this in a new way, give yourself credit, because like I said, doesn't happen all at once. But when you sort of aim yourself toward this newer way of processing grief and fear and pain, then little by little it becomes automatic. And you're not living pain-free, but you're also not living with festering, smoldering issues that are still there from your past. So that's kind of one of the ways to process it. Let me know how you handle denial, how you, if you acknowledge it, that there are points of your life that you're in denial about. I certainly am. And working with this is, it's sort of a simple concept to just allow the feelings to be there, but it isn't always easy. It's not easy. So let me know how you're doing. Give me a like and all these things that you do on YouTube, share, subscribe, all the things, and I will see you for our next reading.